Welcome news for one of the biggest retailers in the world as consumers still feel the pinch of persistent inflation. IKEA is known for its steep discounts on furniture, storage, and home decor, and now those discounts are about to get even steeper.
If you've ever walked through an IKEA store, you probably picked up one of their side tables, the lack table. It costs around $10. $10 for a fully functional piece of furniture. But here's the thing, most people don't realize. If you cut that table in half, you won't find solid wood inside. You'll find recycled cardboard, folded into a honeycomb pattern, sandwiched between two thin sheets of particle board. And somehow, it holds up to £55. That table isn't cheap because IKEA cuts corners. It's cheap because IKEA has spent over 80 years engineering one of the most ruthlessly efficient business models in retail history. They now operate over 500 stores across 63 countries. They pull in more than 45 billion euros in revenue every year, and they sell a Billy bookcase somewhere in the world every 5 seconds. So how does a furniture company sell products at half the price of its competitors and still make billions? To understand that, you have to go back to a farm in rural Sweden and a 17-year-old kid who started selling matchsticks to his neighbors. In 1943, Ingvar Kamprad founded IKEA using money his father gave him as a reward for doing well in school. He was 17 years old and dyslexic, growing up in Småland, a region in southern Sweden known for rocky soil, harsh winters, and people who squeezed value out of everything they had. Kamprad had been in business since he was 5, buying matches in bulk from Stockholm and reselling them one at a time to neighbors at a markup. By 10, he'd expanded to Christmas decorations, pencils, and fish. IKEA started as a mail-order business selling pens, wallets, and picture frames. Kamprad added furniture to the catalogue in 1948, sourcing pieces from local manufacturers. But he had a problem. The furniture was bulky, expensive to ship, and kept getting damaged in transit. His competitors noticed his low prices and pressured suppliers to stop working with him. By 1955, most of his manufacturers had boycotted IKEA entirely. So Kamprad did something that would change the furniture industry forever. He brought design and production in-house. If nobody would supply him, he'd make the furniture himself. But to do that at the prices he wanted, he needed to completely rethink how furniture was made, shipped, and sold. The breakthrough came in 1956, and it happened almost by accident. One of IKEA's earliest employees, a designer named Gillis Lundgren, was trying to load a table called the Lövet into a customer's car. It wouldn't fit, so he unscrewed the legs. Kamprad watched this happen and had an immediate realization. What if all of their furniture shipped this way, disassembled, flat, in a box? The idea was considered radical at the time. The entire furniture industry believed customers wanted pre-assembled products. But Kamprad saw something his competitors missed. A table with the legs removed takes up a fraction of the space. That means you can fit far more units into a single shipping container. Transportation costs drop, warehouse costs drop, and because the customer assembles it at home, you eliminate an entire stage of factory labor. This single idea, flat pack furniture, became the foundation of everything IKEA does. But it was only the beginning. Here's where IKEA's strategy gets really interesting. Most furniture companies work the traditional way. They design a product, calculate the cost of materials and labor, add a profit margin, and that becomes the price. IKEA does the exact opposite. They decide on the retail price first. Then they hand that price to their designers and engineers and say, figure out how to build something beautiful that hits this number. This completely changes the design process. Instead of choosing the best materials and hoping the price works out, IKEA's teams are forced to get creative. They test different materials. They simplify construction. They shave millimeters off components to reduce waste. Every decision is filtered through one question: can we make this cheaper without making it worse? And that's how you end up with things like the honeycomb construction. Instead of filling a table or shelf with solid wood, or even thick particle board, IKEA uses a paper honeycomb core. It's made from recycled paper, folded into hexagonal cells that distribute weight evenly. It uses a fraction of the raw material, weighs almost nothing, and according to structural engineers, it's actually stronger than solid particle board in many applications. The lac table that costs $10, that's the reason it exists at that price. The Billy bookcase might be the best example of this philosophy in action. Designed by Gillis Lundgren in 1979, sketched on the back of a napkin, it's the best-selling bookcase in history. Over 140 million units have been sold worldwide. IKEA produces roughly 30,000 of them every single day. The Billy uses particle board, medium-density fiberboard, and paper foil instead of solid wood or real wood veneer. Its design is intentionally plain. No decorative molding, no fancy trim. Clean, flat, rectangular shapes. That simplicity isn't just an aesthetic choice. Uncomplicated forms are cheaper and faster to manufacture. And because the design is neutral, it fits into any room, which means it appeals to the widest possible market. When Kamprad noticed in the 1980s that IKEA was offering 130 different variations of the Billy, he ordered them to cut it down to 80. Sales went up. Fewer options meant simpler production, lower costs, and less confusion for shoppers. But IKEA's cheapness isn't just about materials and shipping. There's a psychological trick built into the entire model, and it might be the most brilliant part. When you buy an IKEA bookcase, you take it home in a box and spend an hour putting it together yourself. You're essentially doing the assembly work that a factory would normally handle. That saves IKEA a significant amount on labor costs, which they pass on to you as a lower price. Everybody wins in theory, but in 2011, researchers at Harvard, Yale, and Duke discovered something surprising. They called it the IKEA effect. In their experiments, people who assembled IKEA furniture themselves were willing to pay 63% more for it than people who were given the same furniture pre-assembled. The act of building something with your own hands makes you value it more. You feel a sense of accomplishment and ownership that you don't get from a product someone else put together for you. So IKEA saves money by offloading labor to the customer, and the customer ends up loving the product more because of it. That's not an accident. That's a business model designed at every level to make cheapness feel like a feature, not a compromise. The stores themselves are part of the cost-cutting machine too. Walk into a traditional furniture store and a salesperson greets you within 30 seconds. They walk you through options, answer questions, and try to upsell you. Every one of those salespeople is an expense. IKEA's stores are designed for self-service. The price tags include everything you need to know, including material details, care instructions, and the exact aisle and bin number where the flat pack is waiting in the warehouse below. Fewer staff means lower overhead, which means lower prices. But Kamprad also realized something else early on. Hungry customers buy less. They get tired, they leave. So in the 1960s, he added restaurants and food halls to his stores. Today, IKEA sells around 1.4 billion meatballs every year. The food is priced to be the cheapest option within a 30-mile radius. The meatball plate isn't a side business. It's a strategy to keep you in the store longer so you buy more furniture. Then there's the sheer scale of the operation. IKEA works with over 1,400 suppliers across 52 countries. When you're buying raw materials at that volume, you have enormous leverage to negotiate prices down. They only build stores in cities with populations above 500,000, where high foot traffic guarantees the volume they need to keep margins thin and prices low. Kamprad also kept the company privately held his entire life. He never borrowed money, he never issued stock. That meant no shareholders demanding higher profit margins, no quarterly earnings pressure, no incentive to raise prices just to hit Wall Street targets. The company existed to sell affordable furniture, and every decision reinforced that mission. And Kamprad practiced what he preached. Up until his death in 2018, the man who built a furniture empire worth tens of billions still drove a 1993 Volvo. He flew economy class. He stayed in budget hotels and replaced the minibar bottles with cheaper ones from local supermarkets. He reportedly recycled his tea bags. He once wrote that IKEA employees should use both sides of a piece of paper. This wasn't performance, it was philosophy. As he put it, it is not only for cost reasons that we avoid the luxury hotels. We don't need flashy cars, impressive titles, uniforms, or other status symbols. That frugality was baked into IKEA's culture from the beginning, and it shows up in every product they sell. IKEA didn't just figure out how to make cheap furniture. They redesigned the entire relationship between a company, a product, and a customer. They made you the assembly worker, the delivery driver, and the interior designer, all in one. And the wild part is, most of us are happy to do it, because the price is right, the design is clean, and there's something satisfying about building your own bookshelf, even if it takes 3 hours and you have 2 screws left over at the end. That Billy bookcase sitting in millions of homes around the world started as a sketch on a napkin. It's made of engineered wood and paper foil, and it might be the most successful piece of furniture ever created. I'd love to know, what's the one IKEA product you've bought more than once? Drop it in the comments. If you found this interesting, we've got another one you'll want to see. Click the video on screen right now